Hi, this is Nick. Welcome to ISG, where we talk all things real estate in the Czech Republic. Today, we're going to look at cooperative apartments as potential investments. It's very difficult to get a mortgage for a cooperative ownership apartment, but if you've got cash or the ability to borrow against something else in order to buy an apartment that's in cooperative ownership, you might be interested in doing this as an investment. Now, why would this look interesting in the first place? The main thing you find with cooperative ownership apartments is they are cheaper than those that are in personal ownership. And this is generally because of that kind of restriction that we see, that you can't buy it with a mortgage, and it has certain rules about it, so not everybody is interested in buying them. And generally, you can get a discount of around 10 to 20% versus the normal price you would pay for a flat in private ownership. If during the lifetime that you own the property, you manage to get this change from cooperative ownership into private ownership, then you may be able to actually realize this 10 to 20% discount that you got in the first place. And this is why it could be an interesting idea as an investment opportunity. So the question is, why wouldn't you do this? Now, if you're buying it to live in and just you want to hold it for a long time, which isn't kind of the investments we normally talk about, but it is obviously a kind of investment, then this may work perfectly well. But if you're looking as a buy-to-let option and you're going to rent it out over time, then it's going to be a little bit more difficult. The key thing with these cooperatives is don't make any assumptions and do your research really well. The cooperatives themselves have a set of rules which they must abide by, and these rules can impact in lots of ways. Here are some of the examples I have from my own experience of working with cooperative ownership apartments. No foreigners in the cooperative. This is something I came across a long time ago with someone who was going to buy an apartment. They reserved the apartment, and then later when they were trying to transfer the ownership, they found out that actually the cooperative didn't allow for foreigners to be in there, only for Czech nationals. Fortunately, this was changed by the cooperative and the transfer of ownership was made. Now, of course, it could have been different. It may not have gone so smoothly and someone could have been left in limbo during that. So it's definitely something you need to look at and read these rules before entering into any contracts. No tenants. So this is another thing. The cooperative basically agrees on how the whole building will be run. And you are basically owning a share of the building with the right to use an apartment as opposed to owning an apartment itself. So the cooperative can decide whether you have a tenant or don't have a tenant. They can also decide if they don't like your specific tenant, maybe it's a problematic tenant. It can be very minor or major. The thing is the majority will win in any vote and they can basically decide your future. Even if the cooperative allows you to have a tenant, that doesn't necessarily mean you can do short-term rentals. So again, if this is something you're looking at, you need to be really careful. That is a business activity, and most of the time, the cooperatives don't allow this kind of thing to happen. Contributions to the building. So if you're an owner of a normal apartment in private ownership, you become a member of the owners association, and that owners association is quite well covered by Czech law, and you can only raise rates at a certain level for collecting money for repairs. Cooperatives have a little bit more scope for collections, and the cooperative can vote on these kind of things and can ask for more money. This is quite often you'll see apartments for sale that are cooperative ownership where there's quite a large amount of money owed. Maybe the person selling hasn't paid very much at all, and that money then needs to be paid on. So on one hand, they can vote, but on the other hand, it's unlikely that they'll kind of push you out of that because of money that you owe. And this generally tends to build up as a debt towards the cooperative, which is then later paid off. So overall, is it a good investment? I think if you're buying to live in, then it's worthwhile because you may see this 10 to 20% gain in the future if you can get it into private ownership. If you're looking as a buy-to-let investment, it comes with many, many risks. And almost certainly these risks are probably not worth taking in terms of the end result for you. Thanks very much for watching. See you again soon.